Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learn English Podcast.
My problem in speaking English. Improve your English. Learn English through podcast. My name is Liza, and for as long as I can remember, I have dreamed of speaking English fluently, not because someone forced me to, but because I always felt that English could open a door to a bigger world, a world filled with stories, people, and opportunities that I could never reach if I stayed afraid of speaking. Yet for many years, that fear controlled me. I would sit in class with 1,000 thoughts in my head, my heart racing every time the teacher asked a question, and even though I knew the answer, I stayed silent because the words in my mind never sounded as beautiful when they came out of my mouth. They broke, stumbled, and fell apart like pieces of a puzzle that didn't fit. And every mistake made me feel smaller, until one day I started believing that maybe I was just not meant to be good at English. Maybe my tongue was too heavy, my accent too strong, my confidence too weak. And this belief followed me like a shadow everywhere I went, into my university, my job interviews, and even simple moments like ordering food or meeting tourists. Because every time I tried to speak English, my voice shook, my mind froze, and my heart whispered, "You can't do this." And that voice became louder than any teacher I ever had, until I realized that the real problem was not my grammar, not my pronunciation, but my fear itself, the fear of judgment, of laughter, of imperfection. And the more I ran from it, the stronger it became. So one evening, after another embarrassing attempt to speak during an online class, I sat alone in my small room, opened my phone, and searched for how to improve English speaking confidence. And that search changed my life because it led me to something simple but powerful: English podcasts, voices of real people talking naturally about everyday topics. And I still remember the first one I listened to. It was slow, friendly, and the host said, "Don't be afraid of your mistakes. They are your teachers." And for some reason, that sentence hit me so hard that I replayed it 5 times, tears in my eyes, realizing that maybe I had been learning English the wrong way all along. Maybe I had been chasing perfection instead of connection. And from that day, I made a promise to myself that I would no longer learn English only for exams or grades, but for communication, for freedom, and for self-expression. And that night, I downloaded 5 different podcasts, one about motivation, one about travel, one about success stories, one about English learning tips, and one about daily news. And I made a plan. Every morning, I would listen while preparing breakfast, every evening before bed, and even during bus rides to school, I would have my earphones in, feeding my brain with English voices, until the language started to feel like music, not pressure. And the first week was tough, because sometimes I couldn't understand half the words, but I kept going, because I told myself understanding every word wasn't the goal. The goal was to keep listening until my brain got used to the rhythm of English. And slowly, something magical began to happen. The words that once felt foreign started to sound familiar. My ears began catching phrases, expressions, even jokes. And without realizing it, I started repeating them aloud, whispering along with the podcast hosts, like singing to my favorite song. And that small daily habit started to build my confidence, brick by brick. I noticed that technology was becoming my personal coach because every app, every podcast, every online transcript helped me see progress that I had never felt in years of studying. And this progress motivated me more than any classroom grade ever did. Soon, I discovered interactive podcast platforms where I could read the script while listening, highlight new vocabulary, and save it for later practice. And I started making digital flashcards of those words, using an app on my phone, reviewing them during lunch breaks or while waiting for the bus. And it became a part of my routine, not a burden, but a lifestyle. The more I listened, the more I spoke to myself in English, describing my thoughts, my day, even my feelings. And one day, I recorded my voice reading a short paragraph from a podcast. And when I played it back, I smiled. It wasn't perfect, but it was real progress. My accent softer, my sentences smoother, and my confidence brighter. And that moment felt like winning a small battle against my old self, the one who used to stay silent out of fear. I started to believe that technology was not just a tool, but a mirror showing me who I could become if I stayed consistent. And I began exploring more. YouTube channels where teachers spoke slowly and clearly, online communities where learners encouraged each other, pronunciation apps that analyzed my speech and gave feedback instantly. And the more I explored, the more I understood that I was never alone, that millions of young people around the world were going through the same struggle, the same fear of speaking. And that realization gave me courage. I started joining live podcast discussions on Clubhouse and Telegram where people practice English speaking through topics like motivation, daily habits, and personal stories. And though my voice trembled the first few times, every time I finished a sentence, I felt stronger. And the people in those groups were kind. They didn't laugh at my mistakes. They clapped. They encouraged me. They said, "Good job, Liza." And those words mattered more than they knew because they helped me silence the voice of doubt that had lived in my head for years. I began to see that improving my English wasn't just about learning a language, it was about transforming my mindset. Because the moment I stopped being afraid of speaking, everything else started improving naturally. My listening, my grammar, my pronunciation, they all followed confidence like shadows follow light. I realized that technology had given me something my classroom never could: unlimited practice without judgment, endless motivation through real stories, and a community that celebrated progress instead of perfection. So I created a small ritual. Every morning, I would say out loud, "Today I will speak English, even if I make mistakes." And I would talk to my mirror for 5 minutes, pretending to host my own podcast, introducing myself, talking about my dreams, my goals, my lessons. And sometimes I would laugh at my own pronunciation errors, correct them, and move on, because I had learned that laughter was a better teacher than shame. The more I did it, the more fluent I became, and soon I noticed I was thinking in English first before translating. And that was the moment I knew the wall was breaking. Podcasts were teaching me not only words, but emotions, rhythm, and culture. I could feel how native speakers expressed excitement, sadness, or humor. And I tried to imitate that energy, that flow, until it became part of me. And every episode I listened to was like a small classroom filled with lessons about life and language. And I learned that every new word I understood was a victory. Every sentence I spoke was a step forward, and every mistake I made was a teacher guiding me to the next level. That's how technology transformed me, from a quiet listener to a confident speaker. And every day I thank that scared version of myself for not giving up after that embarrassing online class, because she chose to try one more time, and that one decision changed everything. Now, let me tell you something important. All these methods work only if you have the right mindset. Many learners give up because they expect results too fast. Learning a language takes time, patience, and consistency. You can't learn perfect English in 1 week, but you can make amazing progress in 1 month if you're disciplined. Every small step you take counts. Every podcast you listen to, every sentence you speak, every word you write, every video you watch. Your brain is learning even when you don't notice it. So don't compare yourself to others, just focus on your own journey. Remember, every fluent English speaker you admire once struggled just like you. They weren't born fluent. They practiced, they failed, and they kept going. You can do the same. And if you ever feel unmotivated, remind yourself why you started. Maybe you want to study abroad, get a better job, travel the world, or simply feel confident in conversations. Whatever your reason is, hold on to it. Let it push you forward when you feel tired. English is not just a language. It's a key that opens doors. It gives you access to knowledge, to opportunities, and to people from every corner of the world. And right now, with technology and podcasts, you can learn faster than any generation before you. So start today. Don't wait for tomorrow or the perfect moment. Use these 5 methods. Listen daily, speak more, learn vocabulary and context, enjoy English media, and make English your daily habit. If you stay consistent, you will see transformation, not just in your language, but in your confidence, your mindset, and your future. Because learning English is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every word you understand, every sentence you say, every time you choose to practice instead of giving up, you're becoming better. And one day, you'll look back and realize that all those small moments added up to something big. So keep going. Believe in yourself. Make technology your tool, podcasts your companion, and English your lifelong friend. The world is waiting for your voice, and your journey starts today. So, my friends, as we come to the end of this powerful journey about improving your English, I want you to take a deep breath and think about everything we've talked about today. English is not just a subject you study, it's a door that can open your future, connect you to the world, and help you build the life you dream of. Whether you want to study abroad, get a better job, travel the world, or simply express yourself with confidence, mastering English will give you the wings to fly higher than you've ever imagined. But remember this, no one becomes fluent overnight. No one wakes up suddenly speaking perfectly. Every person who speaks beautiful English today once struggled just like you. They made mistakes, they felt embarrassed, they forgot words, and sometimes they wanted to quit. But what made them different is that they didn't stop. They kept going. One day at a time, one word at a time, one conversation at a time. And that is what I want you to do. Keep going, keep learning, keep believing. The 5 methods you learned today are not just techniques. They are habits that can completely change the way you learn. Listening to English podcasts every day will train your ears and make your brain think in English. Reading English books, articles, and stories will build your vocabulary naturally. Speaking out loud, even when you're alone, will strengthen your confidence. Writing your thoughts, your goals, or even your dreams in English will help you organize your mind in this new language. And using technology wisely, through apps, YouTube videos, and online conversations, will make your learning fun, fast, and effective. These 5 methods are your tools, but tools are only powerful when you use them consistently. The key is daily action. Even 10 minutes of focused practice each day is more powerful than studying for hours only once a week. Learning English is like watering a plant. If you water it a little bit every day, it grows strong, green, and beautiful. But if you forget to water it, it fades away. So keep watering your English every single day. And whenever you feel tired, whenever you feel stuck, remember why you started. Maybe you want to help your family. Maybe you want to prove to yourself that you can do it. Maybe you dream of traveling and speaking confidently with anyone in the world. Whatever your reason is, hold on to it tightly, because that reason will keep you moving forward when the journey feels hard. You see, learning English is not just about grammar or pronunciation. It's about becoming a new version of yourself. It's about training your mind to think bigger, your heart to stay patient, and your spirit to never give up. Every time you listen, every time you speak, every time you write or repeat a new word, you're not just learning English, you're building discipline, confidence, and character. And here's one more thing I want you to remember. You are living in the best time in history to learn English. The world is at your fingertips. You don't need to travel far or spend a lot of money. You can learn from your phone, from your computer, from your favorite podcasts, or even from talking to people online. Technology has given you a gift that no generation before you had: unlimited access to knowledge. So don't waste that gift scrolling aimlessly. Use it to shape your future. Every second you invest in yourself today will pay you back 100 times in the future. Young learners, the road to fluency is not a race. It's a journey. And on this journey, there will be days when you feel motivated and days when you don't. But if you keep walking, you'll look back one day and be amazed at how far you've come. So from this moment on, promise yourself one thing: that you will never stop learning. Make English a part of your life, not just a subject you study for school. Listen to it while you're walking, watch it while you're relaxing, think in it when you're dreaming. Let it become your daily companion, because one day you'll wake up and realize that English is no longer something you're learning. It's something you live. And when that day comes, when you can finally speak with confidence, understand everything you hear, and express yourself freely, you'll smile and remember that it all started here, with a decision, a little effort, and a lot of consistency. You'll remember that you didn't give up and that you believed in yourself when no one else did. That's the real reward of learning English. Not just the language itself, but the strength, courage, and belief you build along the way. So keep learning, keep dreaming, and keep believing. Your English journey has just begun, and the best is yet to come. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, your English journey is not just about words. It's about growth, confidence, and courage. Keep learning, keep improving, and never stop believing in yourself. Because one day, the world will listen to your voice, and they will be inspired by the person you've become. See you in the next video, and until then, keep learning English and keep becoming the best version of yourself. As months passed, I began to notice that English had become a natural part of my life, no longer something I forced myself to learn, but something that lived in me, something that moved with me through every thought and every dream. And this realization felt magical because I could finally express myself without fear, without translation, without hesitation. And it was at that point that I decided to do something bold, to start my own small English podcast for learners like me, young people who were afraid to speak, but who wanted to find their voices. So I recorded my very first episode on my phone using a simple app, sitting in my quiet room late at night, heart beating fast, palms slightly sweaty, because deep inside, I was still afraid of mistakes, afraid no one would listen, afraid people would judge my accent. But then I remembered every podcast I had listened to, every speaker who once said, "Don't wait until you're ready. Start with what you have." And so I pressed record and spoke from the heart. Hello, everyone. This is Liza. I'm not a native speaker, but I'm here to share my journey with you, my struggles, my fears, and how I'm learning English every day. I talked about how I used to freeze in conversations, how I felt embarrassed when people corrected me, and how I slowly built confidence through listening, practice, and patience. My voice shook a little, but it was real, and that's what made it beautiful. After I uploaded it, I went to sleep not expecting anything, but the next morning I woke up to several messages, people saying, "Thank you for your honesty. Your story sounds just like mine, and please make more episodes." I cried that morning, not from sadness, but from gratitude, because I realized that my weakness had turned into my message, and my fear had turned into my strength. That was the moment I knew my purpose, to help others believe they can too. So I kept recording, episode after episode, talking about different topics: how to stay motivated, how to stop comparing yourself, how to practice speaking every day. And with each one, my confidence grew. I started inviting other learners to join me in small conversations. And together, we laughed, stumbled, learned, and improved. Those episodes weren't perfect, but they were alive. And soon, something incredible happened. I began receiving messages from people in countries I had never visited, saying things like, "Liza, your podcast helped me practice English during my commute," or "Listening to you made me brave enough to speak in class." I couldn't believe it. My voice was traveling across the world, connecting hearts and minds through the same language I once feared. It felt like magic, but it wasn't magic. It was the power of persistence, of using technology the right way, of transforming my phone from a distraction into a tool for growth. That's when I realized how powerful our generation is. We have access to everything we need to grow if we just use it wisely. I started sharing not only my podcast, but also tips on how others could learn through technology, apps, audiobooks, AI language partners, and online speaking clubs. I wanted everyone to know that you don't need expensive schools to become fluent. You need consistency, creativity, and courage. I also began journaling about my dreams, and one of them was to travel abroad and study in an international environment. That dream seemed impossible at first, but the more I improved, the closer it felt. Every new word I learned was like one step toward that dream. And then, one day, after many months of practice, I applied for a language exchange program. And to my surprise, I was accepted. When I read the email, tears filled my eyes. I remembered all those nights I stayed up late listening to podcasts, repeating sentences, recording my shaky voice. It all led to this. I was finally going to study in a place where English wasn't just a subject, it was life. The first week abroad was both exciting and scary. Everyone spoke fast, the accents were different, and sometimes I couldn't catch every word. But this time, I didn't panic. Instead, I smiled and reminded myself that learning is endless. Whenever I didn't understand something, I asked politely, and people were kind enough to repeat or explain. That confidence came from the podcast that had trained my ear and my courage. I began making new friends from different countries, and English became our bridge, our shared language that allowed us to learn about each other's cultures and dreams. Some nights we sat under the stars, laughing about our pronunciation mistakes, sharing stories, and realizing how language could unite people from every corner of the world. Those were the moments when I truly understood that English is not about perfect grammar or fancy words. It's about connection. It's about expressing your heart so others can feel it. And that's when I began to speak not with fear, but with love. Love for learning, love for growth, love for people. I continued to record new podcast episodes even while abroad, now sharing my experiences in a new country, and my audience grew even more. Teachers invited me to share my story with their students, and I even gave a small speech at a language learning event titled, "Your Accent is Your Story." I told the audience, your accent is not something to hide. It's a reminder of your courage, the proof that you dared to learn something new. The crowd clapped, and I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. It was unbelievable. The girl who once couldn't introduce herself in English was now standing on stage inspiring others. Every time I looked back, I realized that the key wasn't talent or luck. It was persistence, consistency, and belief. I had failed many times, made countless mistakes, but I never stopped trying. And that's the message I want to share with everyone. Your problem in speaking English is not permanent. It's just a phase, and every phase can be overcome with practice and patience. If I could do it, you can too. The fear you feel now will become your story of strength later. I used to think that people who spoke English fluently were gifted, but now I know they're just people who practiced more, listened more, and never gave up. Podcasts taught me that learning can be fun, flexible, and personal. Technology gave me opportunities that didn't exist before. I could listen to any accent, learn from any speaker, and connect with anyone in the world. But most importantly, learning English gave me the confidence to find my voice and use it to help others. I realized that the real goal of learning a language isn't to speak perfectly, it's to speak bravely. It's to open your mouth even when your heart is racing. It's to believe that your message matters more than your mistakes. That's the true meaning of fluency. And so as I look at where I am now, speaking English confidently, hosting my own small podcast, inspiring other learners, I feel proud. Not because I reached the end, but because I learned that there is no end. Language learning is a lifelong journey, a road that keeps unfolding with every new word, every new story, every new connection. I still listen to English podcasts every morning, and I still make small mistakes,
But now I smile when I do, because each mistake is a sign that I'm still growing. Sometimes when I walk alone and hear the sound of my own voice speaking English naturally, I remember that shy girl who once whispered words in fear, and I want to tell her, you did it. And to everyone listening to this story, if you're struggling with your English right now, please remember, you are not alone. Every learner feels the same fear at first. Every confident speaker was once afraid to speak. Don't give up when you feel stuck. Don't let embarrassment silence your potential. Use technology. Use podcasts. Listen every day, practice every day, and speak even when it's uncomfortable. Because one day you'll wake up and realize that English is no longer your problem. It's your power. So keep listening, keep practicing, and most of all, keep believing in yourself, because the only person who can stop you is you. My name is Liza, and this is my story. A story that started with fear, but ended with freedom. A story that began with silence, but turned into a voice heard around the world. And if you remember one thing from this story, let it be this. Your problem in speaking English is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a beautiful transformation. One that will change not just the way you speak, but the way you see yourself forever.